come to a clearing in the plantation that I found on SatNav in quite a remote place where we won't be disturbed or noticed, and we have a stealth day camp. Well, this is ideal because it's sheltered, it's south facing, it's in an enclosure, thick, dense woodland, away from everybody and everything, a very secluded spot. So you'd be uninterrupted for weeks if you were up here camping. And you can understand why the army like to be invisible. They like to get into forests and disappear into the landscape. And that's how the SES keep under cover as well. They're totally invisible to Joe Blogs and general public, and they make no contact with locals. So this is obviously a great place to put up the Polish Army Lavvu teepee tent. 2 hammocks buttoned together, dark green, fits nicely in the corner, and I've chosen the Lavvu for this type of terrain because in Poland, when I was there, I realised that fir forests were vast, and you can understand why the Lavvu was popular in the 80s. You could pop up a tent in minutes and have shelter overnight, and in dense woodland, unnoticed. And this is obviously a young plantation, but even then the Lavvu can point up through the branches and sit comfortably on a bed of pine needles. Perfect solution for accommodation. So let's set it up, shall we? Oh, before I do that, I'll show you. I've come only with a tactical rucksack today. Now this is just a tactical sack, not meant to carry a tent. It's tightly packed, there's not much room for anything else in it. But actually, believe it or not, the Lavvu's here, the ground sheet's here, the stove and the food. So let's unpack it and make it happen. The poles come in 2 sections. The first section goes to about this height, but with your colleague's side of the tarp and his poles and pegs, the tent goes to almost half a man height tent, so it's fantastically designed for 2 people to share. Alternatively, a soldier on his own in the Polish army in a forest in 1980 would have had to have made a tarp and sleep under that only. However, that's how easy it is, so let's put it together. I've numbered them all to make it easy for me because I'm a bit slow on the uptake, as you probably have noticed already. Well, job done. Well, as you can see, that took no time at all. I didn't time it, but I think I took about 5 minutes. With practice, maybe under that. Well, the squatties have found a place to sleep for the night, or the day I should say. I'll show you some of the interior while we're all in here out of the rain. I did tie a tight knot at the top of the pole in order to put it onto a piece of paracord, but I decided just in the end to use the pole because it made it more taut. I'll practice the ridge line in the future, but for now I'm quite happy with the pole. It's lightweight and relatively easy to fire up. As I said, it took about 5 minutes to put the tent up. Before I brought the Lavvu out, I decided to to tape the inside of the flap with hem tape, which you use with a steam iron, and it makes it pretty secure. There's just the edge of it there, so it won't flap around while you're using the interior. I decided to put it on the inside because it dawned on me that actually that is the inside of the garment when it was used as a cloak for the army. So they both had shoulder pads inside, probably for double protection against the elements. Although you can see a little bit of light coming through the single layer of the Lavvu. When it rains, the linen fibres swell up, and although it might get damp on the inside or change colour, the rain then starts to run off. So it works a bit like a thatch roof, I guess. So that's the inside flap. You could reverse it. Some people do, some people don't. I think it's about 50-50 actually, which would give you extra protection for a small section outside, so that I see no point of it. You might as well have the protection on the inside. And the reason why I knew this was on the inside was, well, I did find that some people who had reversed it were probably doing the wrong thing, because one person complained about a leak because water on the outside was building up inside here and finding its way out. Whereas if you do it the correct way, then the seams have got treble flap canvas, which means that the water ingress is highly unlikely from the outside in, because we've got this layer here, then we've got the flap, then a button, then an outer flap on the outside. Whereas if you have this on the outside, then you're going to build up a small reservoir of water, which could find its way through the base of the flap section. So I suggest to people that they should just put the flap on the inside, and it serves the same purpose at the end of the day. And also the reason why I knew this was the inside was because the print, the stamp, whether you can see that or not, it says here 1980. That's November, that's 11th month 1980, 11170- something. I can't see what that says, but you can see the manufacturing stamp on the TP identifying which one it is, the factory level, I guess. So that suggests that we've got it the right way around. The other advantage is you've got these little tie strings, so you could hang a candle lantern, an enclosed candle lantern, on both strings and give yourself plenty of light. So on the main seam, on the inside as well, you've got the treble flap. You've got the inside flap, kind of the correct way up. I'll just lie down and look up. You've got the inside flap with the buttons, the middle flap where the button goes through, and then an outside flap coming in from that side outside, overlapping it. So you've got 3 layers. The space inside is ginormous when you finally get it pulled up. It's like a circus tent in miniature, but it's a huge amount of leg room. You could get 2 people sleeping in here comfortably. A bit tight with all the kit, but they could manage. So that's why I've gone for a Polish Lavvu, because if I take my dog or dogs with me, that's the first advantage. They can sleep on their little carpet rug thing in the corner or at the end of my sleeping bag, and this grassy area can be used for leaving the equipment and cooking on with ventilations, fuel, but using liquid fuel safely, and you've got a very interesting habitation. I'll show the outside. On the top I've just bound. I'm going to have to work this out better because I don't want this to get worn. If I did, I'd have to repair it with something quite strong, which I would, but I don't want to have to do that because that would compromise the waterproof. So I'll be working on this. I'll probably get a dome shaped thing which I'll probably attach to the end of the pole in due course. However, the idea is for quick, if you get a good ridge line, you've got options to pull it up tightly and just clip it on in place, so you could probably assemble it fairly quickly. Anyway, as I was saying about the outside of the waterproofing, oh, there's some rain already, a few droplets there. Now on the outside, you see there's 3 layers, so you've got the, oh no there isn't, yes there is, no there isn't, yeah there is, there's 2 flaps inside, then there's the top flap, and then there's a middle flap that goes over, so you get kind of like a Z effect of canvas, which means the rain, when it runs down, won't gather in the bottom V shape that we have inside, but it will drip off nicely into your BCB water container if you rig it up properly. Tie it up and let it lie there overnight. You'll probably end up with a whole litre of fresh water in the morning. So that's the flap, and the nice thing about flap is when you're cooking you can open it for ventilation with a tent peg, so the fumes are coming out and there's no condensation when you're cooking. So that's another huge plus. I could have made this a bit more taut, but I suppose that's because I've opened the door. But for protection against the wind, you could have a half door open, and so you've got a massive live area, as you can see. I really like this, and the other reason I went for the Polish Lavvu is because of the forest. You see, you could assemble this inside a forest. Let's go into the forest, have a look. If you're going to assemble it in a forest, you would be able to do it on a very nice carpet of vegetation free, easy to pitch, easy to live, fairly dry, sheltered Polish teepee. I got mine for less than 20 quid. They're still available on eBay, and they're becoming very popular, so my advice is get out there and buy one. I think they come in 3 sizes, but most of them are about the medium size, which is what you get supplied, and that gives you a really huge space to live and work in. It's probably one of the cheapest tents on the go. Yes, they're heavy, but you account for that. That's the luxury that you take with you on short walks and campovers, not big haul walks, but a few miles a day type of expedition. And you've got all the comforts of home. I highly recommend it. One of the other reasons why I think I've gone for the teepees, the Polish Lavvu, is that tying up tarps with all the ridge lines and knots is something that I'm not quite up on. So I thought I'd make it easy for myself, quick assembly, in and out of the situation without all the complication of knots. But that's something I'm going to have to teach myself over the next year or so. And when I perfect it, then I'll move on to tarp use as well. So let's put on lunch, shall we? The beagles have been on site for 5 minutes and already fast asleep, wondering where the voice is coming from. This one is old and half blind and half deaf. Wasn't quite sure where it was for a moment as it woke up and did a quick scan of the room. But yeah, it's a big area, and look at the space. Fantastic. Very comfortable. I think the ideal for me there would be a lightweight ground sheet section only, and probably an airbed for comfort, and a sleeping bag. Of course the foil lining for insulation, and that's all you need. Travel light. Next time I'll pack up, I'll bring probably everything I need and try and do a sleepover, but I'm inclined not to do that because I suffer from sleep apnea, which means carrying breathing equipment with me. So that's why I'm doing day camps at the moment. But possibly in the future, I might be able to sleep overnight without the breathing apparatus, because the oxygen level's good outside in the country, good ventilation, so I might be okay with the head propped up. However, the other system is to carry a battery and all the equipment with me, breathing mask, tube, pump battery, so it's a bit of a palaver. So there is room for it in the Bergen, which I will deploy next time, so we'll see, maybe think that one through for the future. But you know, just because you have disabilities like I have, minor disabilities, doesn't stop you getting out and having fun, does it? Not a bad view from the Polish Lavvu. Okay, I'm going to come clean. It's basically a kennel, because I do like my dogs to be comfortable when we go for a day outing, really, if I'm honest.